Hello everyone, welcome to the video tutorial series of the operating system. I am your instructor Varshata. So let's start our today's lecture. At the end of this video, you will be able to learn about the banker's algorithm for the single resource and the banker's algorithm for the multiple resource. In last lecture, we have discussed about the algorithms in the detail. So let's see today the example of this algorithm, how we can apply the banker's algorithm to the example. So let's see what the algorithm does is check to see if the granting the request to and it leads to an unsafe state. If it leads to an unsafe state, we will deny that request. Okay, so that is the main concept in this. So if we are going to grant the request to the particular process, and if there is a chances of the deadlock, then we will deny that particular request. Okay, so if granting the request will lead to the safe state, then it's carried out. So if we are granting the request to the particular process for any particular resources, if it leads to the safe state, then we will grant the request to of that particular process. Now all of you are about what is unsafe state and what is safe state. Safe state, that means what? It will not lead to deadlock. Unsafe state, that means what? It will lead to deadlock. Got it? Now here let's see if we have the situation as per the figure it is given over here. Then as per the figure, then it is the safe state. We can say it is a safe state because with 3 free units, one by one, all customers can be served. Okay, so here you can see 4 processes are there and their maximum need is given over here, and total resources we have the 10 resources. Now let's see the example for this. So here as in last slide we have seen this same figure. Here maximum allocation is given for process A, B, C and D, and the resource that is holded by the process A, B, C, D is given. So now total two free resources is there. So now what will happen? Here let's see, for process A it requires maximum resource, that is what? 5. Okay, and for process B it requires maximum resource, that is 4. So we cannot complete the process A and process B first. So we will start with the process C because we just have the 2 free resources and the need of the process C is equal to 2. And if it is less than 2, then also we can assign. Okay, so here we will first complete the process C. So process C will complete its execution. Okay, so we will assign these 2 free resources to the process C. Now, when the process C will complete its execution, it will release all the resources whichever holded by it and whichever newly assigned. So total 4 resources will be freed by the process C. So here you can see these 4 resources freed by the process C. Now, next we can assign this resources to the process D because the maximum requirement is just 3 and we have 4 free resources. So we can assign it. So here you can see we have assigned this for 3 resources to the process D. Now the process D will complete its execution and it will release all the resources whichever holded by it and whichever newly assigned. So total 8 resources are free now. Okay, now you can assign these resources to process A or process B because we can fulfill the need of this both the process. So here you can see we will fulfill the need of this process B. So that's why we have assigned those 4 resources to the process B. Now the process B will complete its execution and again it will release all the resources that is holded by it. So now total you can see the now 9 resources are free. Now we can fulfill the needs of the process A. So the process A will complete its execution and it will release all the resources holded by it and whatever the newly assigned. So after the completion of the each and every process, we have free 10 resources. So we can say there is a no deadlock in the system if we will follow the sequence. So the order of the execution is C, D, B, A. Okay, if you got confused, you can go with the first come first serve. you will start with the process A, then you will start with the process B. If A and B is not satisfied the request of the process, not satisfied the request, then what we will do, we will start with the process C. Then we will start with the again process D. Again start with the process A, B, C. So likewise you can do to do this example. Got it? Now next is the banker's algorithm for the multiple resource. Okay, so let's start with the multiple resource. Now all of you aware about how to assign the single resource to the processes. Same way here we have multiple resource. That multiple resource we have to assign to the process, because the process request is for the multiple resource. Now here you can see this table. In this table we have 4 types of resources, which are: one is a tab drive, then plotters, then scanners, and then CD-ROMs. And these are the total numbers of available resources that we have. So 6 tab drive is there, 3 plotters is there, 4 scanner is there, and 2 CD-ROM is there. Now here this table is given to you. This is the number of resources held by the each and every process. Now here total we have the 5 processes. Okay, and each and every process holded this much resources. For example, P1 holded the 3 tab drive, 0 plotters, 1 scanner, and 1 CD-ROM. Likewise, this all the processes have holded this much resources. So now total available resources what? Okay, so the resources held by each and every process, that is the tab drive is 5, then plotters 3, scanner 2, and CD-ROM 2. So here you can see do the addition of this tab drive. So 3 plus 1 plus 1, so there are 5. So 5 tab drive is total allocated to each and every process. Now next we will see the total available free resources. Okay, available resources or free resources. Total we have 6, 3, 4, 2 resources, and allocated resources is 5, 3, 2, 2. So now we can subtract this holded resource from the total available resource. So we can see the free resources. Okay, so 6 minus 5, that is a 1 tab drive. 3 minus 3, that is a 0 plotter. 4 minus 2, that is a 2 scanner, and 2 minus 2, that is a 0 CD-ROM. So now we have 1, 0, 2, 0 resources that we have free right now. Okay, so using this available resources, we have to fulfill the need of this each and every processes. So there is a no deadlock in the system. Got it? So let's see. This is the table, that is the maximum requirement, that is the numbers of more requirement of the process. In exam, it may be given to you that it may be the maximum requirement is given to you. From that maximum requirement, you have to find out the need matrix. Here we can say this is also the need matrix. Okay, so this need matrix is given to, it is not always possible that a need matrix is given to you directly. You have to find out the need matrix. Okay, maximum requirement is given to you and allocated resources given to you. So from the maximum requirement, you have to subtract the allocated resources to each and every process, and you will get the need matrix. Okay, so here you can see this need matrix is given to you. So number of the resources still needed by the each process to proceed. So here let's start with this scenario. Now let's start with the process P4. Why with the process P4? Because we can't fulfill the need of the process P1 and P2 and P3. Why? Because there is a need of 1100 and we have the available resources 1020. That means for process P1 we don't have the floaters also. Okay, so we cannot fulfill the need of the process P1. Same way for process P2. We don't have the floaters, we don't have the CD-ROMs, so we cannot fulfill the request of the process P2. Then for process P3, we require the again 3 tab drives that we don't have. Got it? Now next for process P4, this requirement is 0010. So we can complete this requirement, we can fulfill this requirement. So this process P4 will be assigned the needed resources, that is 1 scanner. So now we will assign this 1 scanner to the process P4. So here you can see, okay, we have 2 scanners, so we can assign this 1 scanner. So it will become now 1, 1, 1 and 1. So when P4 process will complete its execution, it will release its all the resources So here you can see it will release all the resources. So now we have the available resources, that is 2 tape drive, 1 plotter, 2 scanner and 1 CDO. Okay. So now the total resources held, that is 5322. Got it? Now next we will assign the process P1. Okay. Why? Because it just required 1 tape drive, 1 plotter, 0 scanner and 0 CDO. Same way we can complete the need of the process P5 also, because it requires the 2 tape drives, 1 plotter, 1 scanner and 0 CDO. You can go with this order also. Okay. So here we will complete this P1's execute. We will assign the resources to the P1 process, and when P1 will complete its execution, it will release all the resources. So here you can see the resources now available, that is 5132, because whatever the resource is holded by the process P1, that also freed. So total available resources is 5132. Now next we can assign the process P2. Okay, because it requires just 0, 1, 2, 2. That means 0 tape drive, 1 plotter, 1 scanner and 2 CD-ROM, and we have all these available resources. So we will assign these resources to the process P2, and when process P2 will release all the resources, what the available resources are there. So now here it is 5232. Let's see again, right? So here the available resources for the P2, that is 0, 2, 1, 2. So what will happen when it will release all the resources? These resources will be added to the available resources. So tape drive is 0, so it will 5. Then plotter is 2. Here plotter is 0, so it will become 2. Then scanner is 2, and here it is holded, that is 1, so it will become 3. And CD-ROM 2. So let's see. Got it? So 5, 2, 3, 2. So likewise it will happen every time available free resources will be changed whenever the process will complete its execution. Got it? After that we will assign these resources to the process P3. Here you can see the process P3 requires the 3 tape drive, 1 plotters, then 0 scanner and 0 CD-ROMs. So we can assign these resources because we have these resources available with us. So when we will assign these resources, okay, so it needs will become 0, and this available resources will be assigned to this process P3. Process P3 will complete its execution and it will release all the resources. So now we have the available resources, that is 6342, and we just have the one process pending, that is process P5, and now we have sufficient resources, so we can assign that resources to the process P5, and process P5 will complete its task and it will release all the resources. So it will release all the resources, it will become 6342. So available resources is equal to total number of resources. That means each and every process have completed its task. So we can say there is a no deadlock in the system if we are following this sequence. If we are following the same sequence, then there is a no deadlock in the system. Got it? Now let's see, suppose we have just 0 CD-ROMs, that is available with 1, because the requirement of the process P4 now becomes the 0011. Here you can say it is highlighted with the red color 1. In last example, we don't have the need of the for P4, that is 0011. We just have the need of the P4, that is 0010. Okay, now we have just available resources, that is 1020, but we don't have the CD-ROM right now, so we cannot assign the CD-ROM to the process P4. So no any process can complete its task. So here we can say there is a deadlock in the system. So if there is any request come for any process which leads to deadlock, so we have to deny that request, so we can avoid the deadlock. So here you can see there is a deadlock in the system. So we cannot fulfill the request of each and every process, and it will lead to the deadlock. So in this video, we have learned about the Banker's algorithm for a single resource, and we have learned the Banker's algorithm for the multiple resource. In exams, such type of examples can be asked to you. It may be possible maximum allocation is given to you and you have to find out the need matrix. Allocation matrix is given to you and maximum matrix is given to you. So you have to find out the need matrix and you have to follow the step by step which is the safe sequence is that, and you have to define that safe sequence to complete this example. Got it? Okay, so this is all about this lecture. Remaining interesting topic we will cover in the next lecture. Thank you for watching. We will meet in the next lecture.